Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of The Gunman. So today we're going to be touching on a topic which I've been wanting to do an updated video on this for a while. But yeah, today's topic is air pressure and air fluctuations and how to stop it. Now, if this doesn't stop it, then it's your compressor, basically. So I'll go through all of that in this video. But this is something that when I started this channel, good nearly 10 years ago now, I had been in the trade for 14 years and I actually still didn't understand this. So it's one of those things that even if you have been doing it for a while, you may not fully understand it. So I'll do my best to explain it to you, but I do believe I've got a pretty deep understanding of it. And yeah, like my old man used to say, if you can't explain something simply, then you don't probably understand it very well yourself. So I will do my best to explain this as simple and easy as possible. There is a few key things that you do have to understand though with air pressures. So basically what we've got here is, I'm gonna do like a little bit of a diagram here, and I don't know if it's gonna be any good, but we'll get to that in a minute. So this is a diaphragm regulator. So basically the importance of this, it will keep any upward pressure out, if that makes sense. So what we've got a really good high quality Atlas Copco compressor on the other side of that wall there. It's worth about $20,000. So it is definitely more than capable of keeping up with the volume of air that we need. We've set that, I think it's 90 or 100 PSI. We've got big 3-inch diameter air hoses coming all the way to here. So that doesn't actually guarantee, just because you've got yourself a big ass compressor, that actually doesn't even guarantee that you won't get air fluctuations. So what happens when you're getting air fluctuations? It's usually if that is too high, right? So we've got that set to about 70 or 75 at the moment, as you can see there. I find that's a good starting point. You know, you may need to go up a little bit if you might have, say, an air hood that requires more air than mine. I do have an air hood, and I've found that 75 is enough to power every single spray gun. To be fair, I don't use HVLP, so I may need to crank that up just a little bit if I'm using HVLP. But the reason that you want that as low as possible, right? So what you want to do, when you're setting your spray gun, right, you want to have the air on the spray gun completely open. Open those valves right up. Open your cheater valves, open the valves on the gun itself, and adjust it from the wall. So give yourself a little bit extra than what you think you need, right? So if you want to be spraying at 2 bar on the spray gun, you want to have maybe 2.2. You want to have it running at 2.2 when it's fully open, right? So open it up fully on the gun and check your gauge, and while you're holding that trigger down, this is where you adjust it from, if that makes sense. So what happens when you get air fluctuations is, you'll probably find you've set your gun when that's full, when the tank is full on your compressor, you'll set the gun, and as soon as, so what happens with your compressor is, it'll be full, and then once it gets below a certain point, it'll be full right up here. Once it gets below a certain point, the compressor kicks in, it's got a switch that it'll kick back in, and then that's when you'll go up and you'll go down, and you go up and you'll go down, if that makes sense. So the important thing about this is it's actually restricting the flow, right? So you're telling it not to give you all of the pressure, all of the volume of the air which is behind it. So that's really the most important thing to understand. These, they're called a diaphragm regulator. The most important thing is to understand that that will restrict the volume of air which comes through, basically. So that's a really important thing. So let's just say we've set our compressor, I think it's 90 or 100, but as I say, we do have the big diameter, so the flow is not going to be an issue. So let's just say you set your regulator, so this being the diaphragm regulator, if you set that to 100 and you set this to 100, well then, like I say, as soon as that dips, this is going to dip behind it. But if you've set that to 100, this to 75, then what's happening up here, it doesn't bother you, you know what I mean? So this compressor can kick in at 70, it can kick in at sort of 80, it can turn back on, it can do, but it's not affecting you because you're down here, you know. And again, so another thing that happens is you will lose pressure. Now, like I said, we got a 3-inch diameter, so we really don't lose much from our compressor to our regulator. But if you're doing a home setup and you do have longer air lines, you'll lose a substantial amount. So that's where you may want to sort of install a tank, like a receiver tank. That will sort of help. But again, once you're doing like a long spray or like an orbital sander session, once that tank depletes, once you're running off the compressed air, you still will find that you may run out of air. So if you do it like this, right, if you do what I'm saying, get that regulator diaphragm reg as low as you can while still having enough at the gun, right? Because again, you will lose some. So the gun might be down at, say, 30 psi. That might be 25 to 30 psi, how much you need. Maybe 25 on your base coat, 30 for your clear coat, right? But then the regulator will probably, I find at home, 60. That's what I've got mine, because I don't use a air-fed regulator, air-fed respirator at home. So I've found that's perfect for me at home, 60 psi. But like I say, here at work, we're running it at 75. And then by the time it gets to the gun, yeah, you're still around that. So you do lose a bit of air in the airline. But like I say, the compressor's probably gonna turn on at 80, right? And all of those fluctuations, it doesn't matter, because you're down here. The only time I could ever lose pressure here, and I don't think it would be even possible, I reckon you could have an air blower on every single one of those points outside and it wouldn't even touch me in here, because that would kick on early enough, it would kick on and off a lot, and maybe more on than off. But because it's all happening up there, it will not affect me down here, if that makes sense. So it really is quite basic once you get your head around it. I hope my diagram helped make sense of it. But yeah, like I said before, if you can't explain something in simple, easy to understand terms, you probably don't understand it that well yourself. Yeah, another thing, like some people say that a spray gun will operate better when it's using all of that air. So I don't know about that. I'm not really fully convinced. So I think what they're saying is, like, if you've got that spray gun, like you want to run that, say, at 30, but you've got all of this 100 behind it, they reckon going straight from there down here and trying to cheat it down on your cheater valve, you'll sort of create turbulence. This is probably the best way. And then that will actually alter the way that it comes out of your spray fan, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, I've seen a few people make a decent case for it, but at the end of the day, if you do what I've done here, you should be pretty close to not getting that anyway. So previously, like I said, 10 years ago, I would have always just been like, give me as much air pressure as you can get. Like, wouldn't that make sense, But once you understand it, like the way that I've showed you just here about the way that a compressor works and the way that it's going to be turning on and off, it should make sense to why you're getting your air fluctuation. So this video has been sort of bumped up to the top, partly because I've been pretty busy at home and I haven't got a video edited up this week, and this was sort of an easy one that I could just sort of shoot in one video, and then I won't have to do any editing on it. But the other reason is that I had a guy from England who's asking me about this, Andy, and he's like setting his pressure on his gun, and he's like, oh man, this must be a faulty gauge. And the first time I explained it to him, I don't think he quite got it. So he ended up getting it in the end. He did what I said, but I just thought, look, next time this happens, I can just say, hey, go and look at this video. I've got a video. And really all you need to know is get that regulator as low as you can while still having enough at the spray gun. So like I say, set the spray gun full, open the spray gun up full air pressure, and then knock it down until you get the desired pressure on the gauge. It really is that simple. It's not that difficult. Anyway, I better get back to work, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. If you would like to support the show, be sure to go over and check out the link in the description. You can buy yourself some awesome Gunman merch. Until next time, Gunman out.